Welcome to this video about finding credible sources on the web. I have some tips and advice that you might find helpful while working on your researched argument essay. This video has a couple of objectives. First, I want to explain the difference between popular sources and scholarly sources, because you've seen these terms used in your textbooks, and you'll continue to see me using them in our weekly lessons for the rest of the semester. And I also want to offer some suggestions and strategies for locating credible sources on the web. First, a popular source. What is a popular source? It doesn't mean the coolest sources out there. That's not what we mean by popular. Rather, popular sources can be found in print, but also on the web, and we go to the web for almost everything these days. So when we talk about popular sources, we're talking about things you find on the internet written by journalists or professional writers for a general audience. These sources typically use language that's easy to understand by general readers. You don't have to be an expert to understand these articles. These sources also rarely give full citations of the sources that they use to write their articles. So if a journalist has researched a topic, he or she will write about it, but you may not necessarily see him cite the sources in MLA style like you are going to do in your research argument essay. And these sources tend to be shorter than sources you'd find through the library. So a few examples are magazines such as Business Week, Discover, Time, or also blogs. That a lot of you read blogs, a lot of you write blogs. Some popular blogs are the Huffington Post. That would be considered a popular source. Maybe even videos or news segments that you see from NBC News, ABC News, Fox News, that sort of thing. So these count as popular sources because they're usually written by journalists or professional writers, but aren't necessarily experts, such as researchers. Or from a university or faculty members from a university. Okay, so a scholarly source has the following characteristics. They're usually written by and for other faculty members, researchers, or scholars. They use scholarly or technical language, so they might be a little more difficult to understand, so you read slowly and they have to define a lot of terms. They tend to be much longer than any article you'll find online, and they do include citations for all of the sources they used to compose the article or the source. And they also go through a peer review process, which means before they're published and made available, they are reviewed by editors and other specialists to make sure that the information is accurate and credible. We'll talk more about scholarly sources next week when you use the library databases to find scholarly sources, but for now, a couple examples would be journal articles, such as the images here that you find through the library. And because we live in a digital world, journal articles are now made electronic, right? You can go to a library, you can search in a database, and you can find a digital copy of a journal article. But some advice for you. Because your research assignment asks you to be informative but also persuasive, you want to use a combination of popular and scholarly sources. So if you need to provide background information on your topic to your readers, you might want to look at online magazines and news sources. These would be those popular sources. But if you need to also provide expert opinion or cite scholarly sources, you'll want to use the online journals that I'll show you more about next week. Okay, right now I want to take you through some steps for finding web sources. So because so many of us use Google, let's start there. One feature you may know about already is up here, the tab called News. If you click on News, you can find the most current news headlines about different topics, okay? So I'm going to go with an example I gave last week. Let's say I'm going to write a paper about the paleo diet because I've heard people talk about it and I want to know what it is, and I want to write my paper on it. And my research question might be, is the paleo diet a healthy way of eating or not? I want to determine through my research if it's a good way, a healthy diet that's safe. So I could just start very general and type in the term paleo and see what comes up in the latest news headlines. Okay, so here, these are the most recent popular sources being published. You can see here that it shows you 41 minutes ago something was published, 19 hours ago, and it gives you the title of these sources. So you can easily kind of scroll through and see if anything's relevant to your research question. And look, we found one right here on the Huffington Post. Paleo diet, healthy or a hoax? Let's click on that. This is a blog written by Meredith Melnick. All right, so it gives us the author right away, which is important. If you find a source that you cannot identify an author for, or at least the sponsoring organization, you probably want to avoid that article, simply because you can't learn more about the author to know if he or she is knowledgeable about a topic. Anyways, we can go down and we can read, and maybe this provides a little background information on what the paleo diet is, and if it's healthy or not. So it might help me answer my research question. If we keep going, we see it doesn't really cite any sources used, as most popular sources do, but we can click on the author's name here. Let's see what happens when we do. When we click on her name, we don't actually get a bio of who she is. However, we do get a list of the sources she's written about for the Huffington Post, which all seem to be about health. So maybe we can assume that she's some kind of expert in the journalism world about health and living a healthy life. Okay, now let's go back. Remember, you can search in your key terms. I could put in other key terms that would lead me to other sources. But what I want to show you now is how to use Advanced Google. So let's go back to your main Google page, okay? The easiest way to get to Advanced Google is just to type in Advanced Google. And you should get this link, Google Advanced Search. This will take you to a very useful tool that Google provides. This will help really limit the scope of your search and how much information you need to sort through to find good sources. So when you look at this page, you can see that you can type in your keywords here. Let's start with paleo, and another keyword is healthy, because I want to know if it's a healthy way to eat or not. You can also do use exact word or phrase. So if I want it to find titles or sources that use paleo and healthy as an exact phrase, I can put it in there. However, this is a general search. I want to find anything that mentions paleo and healthy. Let's go down. It says then narrow your results by, and what I want to show you is site or domain. What you can do here is limit the kinds of websites you get back from this search. So some good sites you typically want to stick to might be any website that ends in .edu, .org, or .gov. If a site ends in .com, you want to question it a bit. It could be more of a commercial site that's trying to sell you something and therefore might not present an unbiased perspective of your topic. So anyways, let's start with .gov. I'll see if the government has published anything on the paleo diet. Okay, that's all I want to do for now. Let's hit Advanced Search. So this is actually not looking very good. I'm not even seeing the word paleo show up in any of the titles of these sites or articles. One here, but let's keep going. So let's see. Let me refine my search a bit. Let's go back. I think that my original search terms were a little too specific. So instead, let's put paleo diet. I'm going to stick with .gov domain, and let's see what happens when I click Advanced Search. Okay, now I'm getting some titles that do seem related to the paleo diet. The impact of Stone Age diet, the beneficial effects of a Paleolithic diet on cardiovascular health factors, human diet studies. Okay, good. Oh, and even paleo diet for athletes. Interesting. So if I want to know if it's a healthy way of eating, maybe this second source here would be the most helpful. let's go here. So it looks like this is taking us to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health. All right. We have an article here that lists all the authors' names. That's good. We could look them up. We could find out more about them. And actually, there's even a link here that says author information. And it looks like they all work for some kind of professional organization or even a university. So they're probably researchers who are experienced in this field and are specialists in this field as well. So as you can see, this source gives us some background information, the methods of their study, the results, and their conclusion, and then it continues to go with more detailed information as you scroll down. This might be a good source to start help answering my research question. Of course, I'd have to read through it, and I'd have to make sure that that's the case. So what you can also do is go back and limit your domain to .edu. So this will be limiting your search to maybe research done at universities and colleges by experts. You can also do .org as your domain. This would limit your search most likely to nonprofit organizations who are interested in learning more about your topic or publishing information about your topic. But what you don't want to do is probably find these .com sources. So for instance, in a previous Google search, I just put in paleo diet, and I came up with this website that ends in .com. It's a commercial site. It's a site that's trying to sell this book by the author of the paleo diet. He invented the diet. He has an interest in selling more books. So his website's probably going to present a particular perspective on the paleo diet, that it's good for us and that everyone should adopt this paleo diet way of eating. Now, it's not bad that he's promoting it. In fact, he is a researcher, and I believe he has a PhD in his field. But you want to be cautious of people's interests, right, in publishing the information that they provide. Now it's your turn. Start with your research question, the question you want to answer through your research. Help that guide you, or let that guide you as you look for sources online. You can start with Google News or Advanced Google to insert search terms and to start finding current information about your topics. Now, these aren't the only ways to find information. However, I think they're a good place to start because Google News will give you current headlines being published on the web about your topic, and Advanced Google will help you limit your search to more credible domains such as .gov, .edu, and .org. Then read those sources to determine if they are relevant, and use Quick Access Compact, your textbook, page 358, to help you determine if the web sources are credible. I hope this quick video gave you some helpful advice and tips for how to approach your researched argument essay, how to find those sources. If you have any questions at all, post those questions in the class questions discussion forum in Blackboard.